Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we plunge into the details so you don't have to. Today, we're navigating the often, well, let's say murky waters of health supplements, specifically a product called TrueBalance Blood Support. We've all been there, right? Scrolling online, seeing these ads pop up, promising a simple fix for something that feels really complicated. That allure, of a quick solution for complex health issues is just, well, it's incredibly powerful. Our compass for this deep dive is actually a really insightful source. It's excerpts from a YouTube video. The title is TrueBalance Blood Support Review 2025, Scam or Legit? And it's from the Mateo Guide channel. It gives us a very direct, kind of no-hold-barred look at how this supplement is presented, and crucially, what might or might not be behind its pretty bold claims. So our mission for you today is really to equip you with the tools to cut through the marketing jargon, to dig past the big promises, and ultimately to help you figure out what's fact and what's just, clever marketing hype around products like this one. Because understanding how to critically evaluate these kinds of claims, that's like a real superpower in today's world with all the information flying around. Okay, so let's unpack this and see what critical lessons we can learn together.
Yeah, that's the perfect framing for this discussion, I think. In an era where health claims are just, well, they're absolutely everywhere. Social media, targeted ads, you name it. Developing that critical eye isn't just helpful. It's truly essential for your well-being. This deep dive will really highlight, I think, the stark contrast between how a product is heavily marketed and the actual verifiable evidence, or often, like you said, the lack of evidence supporting those claims. It's all about empowering you, the listener, to ask those tough, informed questions.
That's a really critical point. And when we look at TrueBalance Blood Support, the promises are undeniably bold. The advertising paints it as this natural way to help manage blood sugar and improve overall metabolic health. Yeah. We're talking claims like regulating blood sugar, lowering blood pressure, reducing cholesterol, and even like helping with weight loss and insulin resistance. It sounds like a complete solution, all in one little bottle. They really lean into that idea, don't they? That this one supplement can tackle a whole host of complex health challenges.
Mm-hmm. And what's immediately fascinating, and something you should always pay attention to, is that when you look at the actual stated ingredients, they are, as the source notes, mostly plant-based. So we're talking about things like berberine, cinnamon, and bitter melon. Now, to be fair, it's important to acknowledge that some of these, like berberine, cinnamon, bitter melon, they have indeed been subjects of, some scientific inquiry. There are small studies looking at potential effects on blood sugar. But, and this is the crucial detail this source really points out, the research backing these ingredients for the kind of big sweeping claims TrueBalance makes, it's explicitly described as limited and not exactly conclusive.
Limited and not conclusive. That really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? On one hand, you've got these incredibly ambitious claims like the total metabolic overhaul. And on the other, the science is described as, well, tentative at best. It's a common tension we see, I feel like. How much can a few plant extracts, even ones with some preliminary research, realistically do?
Oh.
Especially when the marketing suggests a total transformation. It immediately makes me think, okay, the gap between the promise and the known science seems pretty significant here.
It's a very common pattern, unfortunately, in the supplement world. And it's a critical first point of inquiry for any consumer. When research is kind of limited, it often means, the studies might be small, maybe done on animals, not humans, or just too short to really prove long-term effects or safety. And not conclusive basically means there isn't broad scientific agreement, not enough high-quality evidence to say for sure the ingredient does what's claimed, especially not to the degree the marketing suggests. So yeah, an ingredient might be under investigation, maybe showing promise, but that's a world away from being a proven solution.
Okay, that's a really important distinction for us to keep in mind moving forward. And speaking of marketing, there's this key claim TrueBalance makes. It's designed to sound superficial, really reassuring. The company says it's made in an FDA-approved facility. Now, for a lot of us hearing FDA-approved facility, it immediately brings up images of like government testing, safety seals, complete stamp of endorsement. It feels like the ultimate validation. But what does that phrase actually mean when we're talking about a dietary supplement?
Right, and this brings up an absolutely vital distinction. It's one that marketers, frankly, often exploit. So while a manufacturing facility can be registered with the FDA, which means basically they've told the FDA they exist, they make supplements, and they're subject to inspections for good manufacturing practices or GMPs, The FDA doesn't actually approve the supplements themselves before they hit the market. Unlike prescription drugs, supplements don't go through that pre-market check for safety or efficacy by the FDA. So yes, the facility might follow certain quality rules, but that doesn't mean the product in the bottle has been tested or verified by the FDA for its health claims, or even if the ingredients listed are accurate or safe in those amounts. It's a bit of a linguistic sleight of hand, really. So for you, the listener, a key thing here is always differentiate between a facility being regulated and the product itself being approved. They are worlds apart.
Wow, that's a huge clarification. It completely changes how you hear that statement. It sounds like this big official endorsement, but it's really about manufacturing oversight, which, like you said, is totally different. Okay, and then there's the broader marketing strategy, this idea of the single pill solution. And the advertising for TrueBalance Blood Support really, it leans into the idea that a single pill can solve a bunch of complex health issues. It's the ultimate appeal, isn't it? Simplicity for really complicated problems, like a magic bullet.
Exactly. And that's precisely where the narrative becomes, well, deeply problematic. Because complex health issues regulating blood sugar, blood pressure, cholesterol, they're rarely, if ever, solved by just one single pill, whether it's a supplement or not. These conditions usually need a much broader approach. We're talking comprehensive medical care, often prescription meds, significant consistent diet changes, and sustained lifestyle adjustments like getting enough exercise, managing stress. So the idea that this one supplement alone can do all of that, like the ad suggests, it's a massive oversimplification of, complex human biology. And the claims about weight loss, those are almost certainly exaggerated too. Relying only on a supplement like this could even be harmful if it makes someone delay getting proper medical advice or making those necessary lifestyle changes. It can have real long-term consequences.
Yeah, it's such an easy trap to fall into, though. I mean, who wouldn't want that simple fix? But then there's another major red flag that the source material identifies, one that should always make us pause. It's the claim of being clinically proven. Yet the video explicitly says they don't provide any real clinical trials or peer-reviewed studies to back that up. And then it says no links, no citations, nothing. That's just the colossal gap, isn't it, between what they're claiming and the evidence they actually show you.
It is. It's a critical omission, absolutely. When a product claims it's clinically proven, especially for health stuff, that phrase carries a lot of weight. In the scientific world, it means independent, rigorous studies have been done. They've been published in reputable journals where other scientists review them. The results can be repeated. They're widely accepted. So the absence of any accessible, verifiable clinical data, no links, no citations, nothing. As you said, it's not just a red flag. It's more like a blaring alarm bell. It strongly suggests that the claim is just marketing speak. It's a buzzword to make you feel confident, but without the actual science behind it. So for you, the listener, always look for the proof, look for the footnotes, the links, the actual studies. If they're not there, assume the claim is unproven. This lack of transparency is a really critical indicator for any health product making bold claims. It should always make you very, very cautious.
Absolutely. Transparency is just so key. And it's not only about the scientific claims, is it? The source also points out some, logistical red flags about how the product is sold and reviewed. It mentions TrueBalance Blood Support isn't sold through well-known platforms like Amazon or eBay. Plus, it says there aren't any real user reviews you can trust, and that most of the sales seem to come from ads or shady websites. When you think about where and how a product is sold and the kind of feedback channels available, what does that tell you about its legitimacy?
Well, it tells you quite a lot, actually. Reputable products usually want broad mainstream distribution. Why? Because it gives more people access and it allows for greater transparency, more eyes on it. So when a product is mainly pushed through aggressive online ads, maybe pop-ups, and these less verifiable, sometimes pretty obscure websites, it immediately raises questions. You have to wonder why they aren't on the big platforms. And the absence of genuine, unfiltered user reviews on places like Amazon or even a company's own verified product page, that means you, the potential customer, can't easily gauge its real-world effectiveness or potential side effects from people who've actually used it. You're basically left with only the company's hand-picked testimonials, which are, let's face it, inherently biased. This kind of deliberate sidestepping of normal consumer scrutiny, the difficulty finding genuine feedback, it really suggests an effort to control the story, maybe hide negative experiences. It seriously limits your ability to make an informed choice based on what other people have gone through. And that's a huge barrier to trust. So yeah, pulling all of these different threads together from the source material, The overall message seems pretty clear, doesn't it? While the individual ingredients in TrueBalance Blood Support might possibly offer some potential benefits in very specific, limited ways, the way the product as a whole is being marketed just raises an overwhelming number of concerns. There's simply, as the source puts it, too much hype, not enough solid evidence, and a pervasive lack of transparency around it all. The deep dive from Mateo Guide really reveals this pattern of overpromising and, well, under-delivering on the actual proof.
Exactly. So let's bring it back home. What does all this analysis mean for you listening right now? It means being armed with the right questions, cultivating a healthy dose of skepticism, learning to look past the shiny promises when you're evaluating any health product that makes these kinds of sweeping claims. It's about demanding proof, understanding that official-sounding language might not mean what you think it means, and just being aware of how and where a product is being sold. This specific look at TrueBalance Blood Support, it isn't just about this one product. It's really a valuable lesson, I think, in navigating the whole, sometimes confusing, world of health supplements.
Precisely. And the ultimate, most crucial recommendation from the source, and one we absolutely echo, is this. You should definitely talk to a doctor before trying anything like this, especially if it's making bold health claims. Seriously. Your own doctor can give you guidance that's specific to your unique health situation. They'll consider your medical history, any conditions you have, other medications you might be taking. They can help ensure that any supplements you're thinking about are actually safe for you, appropriate, and won't mess with your current treatment plan. It's about prioritizing your well-being with professional, evidence-based advice, not just trusting an online ad.
That really is the most essential advice we can offer, isn't it? And that brings us to the end of another deep dive. Thank you so much for joining us as we unpack the claims around TrueBalance Blood Support. And maybe more importantly, learned a bit more about how to critically approach health claims in general. We really hope this conversation encourages you to apply this kind of discerning, critical thinking to all the information you encounter, especially when it concerns your health.
Yeah, and maybe a final thought to leave you with. In a world that's just flooded with quick fixes and these really tantalizing promises, how do you empower yourself to tell the difference between genuine support and just clever marketing? And maybe what responsibility do we all share in critically evaluating what we choose to put into our bodies, and how does that shape our whole approach to health? Something to think about.